You are listening to Fantha Tracks.
Because of the following special program, Wonder Woman and the Incredible Hulk will not be presented this evening.
It's time to get all your Star Wars news in a single file. This is Making Tracks. Here are your hosts, Mark Newbold and Mark Mulcaster.
That's not true. That's impossible.
Hello and welcome to episode 106 of Making Tracks, brought to you by the fine folk over at fanthatracks.com. My name's Mark, I am one of your co-hosts, and as always this week I am joined by the man, the myth, and the legend, Mr. Mark Newbold. How you doing, buddy?
I'm very good. I'm in a Mandalorian mood, so I'm actually the man, the myth role, the legend. I'm very well. How's things with you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. I am very well. So busy at the moment. It's just redonkulous. It's just crazy. Can't complain. It's busy at work. It's busy with the bands, both of them, and busy with Star Wars. So busy, busy, busy. How about you?
Conventions are starting up again over the next few weeks.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of events. You've got troops to do. Writing's going well. Work's going well. Normally we record at the weekend. Currently we're recording on a Monday. Is it Monday today or is it Tuesday?
No,
it's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
Good grief.
Yeah.
But it's all good, and there's Star Wars in it, which makes me happy.
Exactly. That's the main thing. Any new acquisitions? Have you got any nice, new, shiny things that you want to talk to us about?
Ooh, my latest batch of comics from Matt, when I saw Matt last at Autumn
Cool,
Fair, which
yeah.
we will be hearing some audio from that later on in the show. I have got the Boba Fett Star Wars Legion pack for the Fantasy Flight one. But other than that, no, actually. It's been a fairly quiet week. What about you?
I tell you what, I've had really boring stuff. I've had like comic book bags and backing cards and, you know, all the fun stuff.
The peripherals, yeah.
Yeah, all the fun stuff for that kind of stuff. But apart from that, yeah, it has been a little bit of a quiet week. But then, to be honest, I had such a deluge over August. It's not surprising, really.
Yeah.
I think actually, do you know what? Coming, but hasn't actually arrived. I read that really great article that you guys posted out on Fan for Tracks about like the Sphere Star Wars books, you know, the vintage ones.
What a great article.
And so I went through and I was just cross-checking to make sure I had all the various different copies. And I think I was missing one version or something. So I brought that. So that's winging its way from eBay on its way. You know, nothing crazy, nothing exciting. And in fact, I'm sure most of the listeners will be like, what do you mean you haven't got it yet? I mean, I've got several copies. I've got, you know, a couple of different versions of it. I just don't have all of them. So yeah, so I've done that. So that's probably about it. But yeah, it's a bit light this week, which is probably not a bad thing. I think next week might be heavier. Who knows? Who knows what Mr. Postman and Mr. DPD Man will try and shove through my letterbox.
Loads of news to talk about. Let's start with Hasbro Fan First Wednesday. So last Wednesday was Hasbro Fan First Wednesday. I was going to say Friday, but it's not Friday. It was Wednesday. And loads of stuff came out. We covered it on the site. It was an epic slog to get everything screenshot and posted, but we managed to do it. So let's go through the releases and get your thoughts on what there was coming out. We'll kick off with the very first one, Prototype Edition Stormtrooper. They've already done a Boba Fett. They've already done a Darth Vader. It's a multicoloured swap shop of Star Wars action figurery. What do you make of these Prototype Edition figures?
So I've got the Vader. I'm waiting on my Prototype Boba Fett. They're okay, but I think the more they do, the less enamoured I am with them. The novelty of having, you know, the Darth Vader was quite cool. But now, after like 6 different Boba Fetts and the Stormtrooper here comes in at least 3 different variations, it kind of feels a little bit like they're milking it a little bit for what it is. It's not like a bad thing necessarily. You don't have to buy them. But at the same time, I think it's probably an easy kind of win for them, really, just to kind of knock these out pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'd agree. I've not got any of these. They're kind of cute, but I get your point about the novelty factor could wear off. Next up, Black Series Gaming Greats. I think we both like the Gaming Great series. Battlefront 2 Jet Trooper. I really like this. The backpack slips on and off. They've put a little groove into the backpack, which I thought was cute. That 501st Blue, which is going to be going all through the line, you know, 3 3/4 or Black Series. It'll have that same tone of blue to keep the consistency. What did you make of this one?
Yeah, lovely little figure. And again, kind of agree with you about the jetpack. That's quite nice. You know, these Gaming Greats, similarly a bit like with the retro figures, like the prototypes, I think it's relatively easy to do a different version of a trooper in a different kind of paint scheme. I throw the gauntlet down and would like to see some of the gaming greats from some of the more classic era games from like maybe the 90s and noughties. Like I think we've discussed this before, but I think that would be quite a nice kind of thing to have, just a bit of variation in that respect. But at the same time, the packaging looks great, and the jetpack and the way it comes on and off it's nice.
You make a great point about the older games. I'd love to see them revisit Shadows of the Empire if they could have the chance to do something like that, because it was on the 64, so that'd be a fun way of doing it. Vintage Collection Carbonised range, there was the Armourer, Carbonised Incinerator Trooper, Carbonised Moff Gideon, and Carbonised Shore Trooper.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's interesting. I mean, I was speaking to a few people, and it's a bit chalk and cheese, a carbonised range, because I think for some figures it works really well. Now, I think it doesn't work very well on the Scarab Trooper, because at least how it's been photoed anyway, it kind of looks gold rather than cream colour. I think it works pretty well for like Mandalorian figures, and generally white Stormtroopers looks pretty cool on it. And I think actually the Armourer looks quite fetching, because you get that kick off of the breastplate and her boots and stuff like that. So they're quite nice. That's the thing, once you start down the dark path and start collecting one or two, you end up having to get all of them. Interesting choice. Again, like with Moff Gideon, because that's that's kind of more of a soft goods costume. He's got a little bit of
leather, more leathery, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. But it's nice to see that they've got a bit of a mix and that, so it's all good.
Black Series Credit Collection is back. I got the first wave, really do like them, but they've come with the second wave. You've got the Mandalorian, Quill, Grief Karga, and Moff Gideon once again, and the Armourer again, as you've just seen in the 3 3/4 range carbonised. I really like these. I think they're just a bit different. I like the coins all being individual. I like the outro artwork that they've worked in, and it just gives them a bit of a tweak.
Same. To be honest, I was really taken by these. I'm still not quite sure exactly what you meant to do, if anything, with those credit chips.
Yeah.
As a mint on card collector, these are really striking. They kind of have that kind of metallic artwork on there, and because they're Black Series, they're big cards, but at least the first wave was really nice and sturdy, which of course, when you compare it to the Vintage Collection, is quite a stark contrast. So, and it's quite nice to see Quill again, because obviously he died in season 1 and that, and even like the Armourer, we haven't seen her since season 1, so these are figures that actually haven't featured prominently in season 2 of The Mandalorian. So whether or not that means that they're going to do another wave of maybe season 2 credit figures next year or something, or later on, that would be cool. I mean, it'd be quite cool to see like an Ahsoka in this range or something like that, or even Luke. So I think I've already got these pre-ordered. In fact, what was quite interesting was some of them were sold out sooner than others, so it's quite interesting to kind of note which ones seem to be more popular than other figures.
Vintage Collection, the Mandalorian and Child, I thought this was absolutely terrific, because the paint app they've done it has made Mando look muddy, like he is when he takes on the Mudhorn. So I just thought that looked fantastic. You've got the blaster, you've got Baby Yoda, as he was still basically then the child in his little cot. This was probably my favourite single figure, at least.
Yeah, this is cute. It's really screaming out for a Mudhorn. You could probably retool the Attack of the Clones Reek. It looked fairly similar. Stick a bit of fur on it and paint it brown. Job done. I might even get two of these, because I think because of how he composes a Mandalorian, it just works really well with him kind of almost protecting Baby Yoda, but at the same time Baby Yoda's doing his crazy hand thing, so it's a nice figure and an interesting choice. I think it's a real specific moment from one episode of Mandalorian.
Yeah, I agree. This felt like they were thinking outside the box. And speaking of boxes, Vintage Collection Stormtrooper 4-pack. This was the one thing I ordered this time round. I'm waiting on other stuff, but this is ordered. I got it through Hasbro Pulse. Absolutely gorgeous. I love the box art as well.
Lots of people have been crying out for troop builder packs. I think what's quite interesting is that the fact that they haven't gone down the route of a classic retail Kenner box, and they've kind of almost gone with like a mail away shipper type box.
Yeah,
I think hopefully this is an indicator that 18 months, 2 years ago, people were saying that Vintage Collection is dead, but I'm starting to think that there's a really healthy resurgence. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't bother to do kind of packs like these.
Yeah, I agree with that. Very much agree with that. And sticking with the Vintage Collection, Return of the Jedi, Emperor Palpatine, Empire Strikes Back Lobot, Return of the Jedi, Bib Fortuna. I thought all three of those looked fantastic, especially Bib Fortuna. I thought looked absolutely brilliant.
I mean, I think they've really nailed Lobot and Bib Fortuna, because Lobot, I don't think we've seen him for probably a good 10 years. And is this a debut for a Vintage Collection figure as well, I think? And Bib, I think they've really done a really good job, because he kind of looks weird, creepy, kind of about him. You've got soft goods, and the Leku is kind of slightly bendable, isn't it? So it can be slightly posed and that. So that's a nice figure. And what's quite cool, I think personally, about the Emperor Palpatine is that it's a different face sculpt to the one that we're going to get with a throne. So that's quite nice. So it means that actually, you've got two different variations. That classic Kenner card always looks great. So all of those in the shopping basket.
I think the one thing that went over gangbusters on social media was the Force FX Elite Rey Skywalker lightsaber.
Yeah.
Chris showed it up close with all the way all the pieces were, the lighting, all the different colours going into the Sentinel saber blade. Just the look of it was fantastic. The box looks fantastic. Really would be a signature piece in the collection, wouldn't it, this?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's got a decent price point. It's what, 270 odd quid, something like that. It's fairly pricey, but then it's a lightsaber that cosplayers and a lot of fans, both male and female, have been calling out and requesting for a while, really since Rise of Skywalker, so it's great to actually see it. And I think actually in some respects this would make a nice accompany piece to the Kylo Ren saber if you've got that as well.
They brought us the pipeline reveals, Black Series Archive, you've got Emperor from Return of the Jedi, Lando Skiff, C-3PO and Dengar from The Empire Strikes Back. A vintage collection pipeline was Yoda, 501st Clone Trooper, Mandalorian Death Watch, Airborne Trooper and Figuring Darn, which is great for anybody who wants to collect the modal nodes. And then just mentioning Force FX Elite once again, in pipeline, they announced the Leia Organa lightsaber from The Rise of Skywalker. People are going to flip for that.
Yeah, me too. We've got a nice kind of like selection of upcoming figures to look forward to. There's also one figure that you haven't mentioned, which I know that you guys got the exclusive on.
We did. We got the world exclusive on the Hasbro Princess Leia. It's the ceremony Leia from the end of A New Hope. Black Series. It's available in the spring. Pre-order it now over at Hasbro Pulse. It's coming to the States not until November, so we have got the jump on them in that respect. Really gorgeous. So pleased that we got an exclusive reveal of this. But there is one thing that we haven't mentioned.
Indeed.
That we need to mention.
We probably should.
It's relevant to you and it's relevant to me.
Yeah, definitely.
The Razor Crest. Mm-hmm. It was coming out in the fall, as our American friends say, the autumn as we say, but it's not now. It's coming out January 2022. Obviously, it was a huge success. They don't want to rush it, which they shouldn't because it's not exactly cheap. So let's get it right the first time. January 2022. I can wait. I'm considering this my personal Christmas present to myself. How about you?
The fact that we've paid for it already, like last year, in fact, it's it's money that's been and gone and kind of been spent. So, whenever it turns up, it turns up. I still haven't got an idea about where the hell I'm going to put it, but the fact is they did release pictures of the actual box, which I know at least for me that's probably as far as I'm going to see it, because I'm not planning on taking it out of this box, unless of course the box is fairly damaged and stuff. Nice to see the box in that kind of classic Return of the Jedi display with the photograph on one side and then the actual kind of like sketch drawing on the reverse and that. So I don't think that they gave us any indication actually to how big that box is, and that's the worrying thing for me. I'm just thinking I don't have space for like an opened Razor Crest, so how big is it going to be in a box? So
the thought has crossed my mind. Yeah, I've already got a coffee table, but there might just have to be two.
I've got like a nice 60-odd inch TV in my living room, so maybe I have to put that on my wall and then put this on where the TV is. I don't know. Yeah. Somebody's not going to be pleased with me by the end of like next January, but the main thing is it's coming.
I'm Anthony Daniels, and you are listening to Fantha Tracks. Well done.
So last year, Tom Kane, voice performer of Yoda in the Clone Wars and so many other things in and around the Star Wars galaxy, including the introduction to Clone Wars episodes, had a stroke, which meant that for the time at least halted his voiceover career. We've now learnt via his Facebook page and his daughter Sam that it looks unlikely that he will be able to resume that voiceover career. So as it stands, that story career is at an end. Terribly sad news, isn't it? He's done so much for Star Wars. He's been such a key part of Star Wars going way, way back, but predominantly through the Clone Wars. It is a loss, isn't it?
Massive loss. It's such a shame. It really is. He was such a nice guy when he was out and about on the convention scenes. And yeah, you hear his voice. Obviously, it's a voice that we hear in every single episode of the Clone Wars, I think. Strokes can be really devastating to people. Yeah, really, really gutted for Tom and his family.
Yeah, I mean, reading the piece, it sounds like the way Sam explains that he's well. The way she says, essentially he knows exactly what he wants to say. He knows exactly what's going on, but the words are trapped in his head, and when they do come out, it's usually too slurred to understand. And so he relies on all forms of non-verbal communication. But the thing that occurred to me, because, we're still going to want to see him. I know I did Good Morning Tatooine on Sunday with Brian, and Brian met him at one of the celebrations and said what a lovely guy he was. Now, Brian, not a Star Wars animation guy, said I had the nicest conversation. He was pleasant and a really nice guy. Do you remember Britain's Got Talent a couple of years ago? Lost Voice guy, the fella that won the comedian. He was a comedian. He was disabled, couldn't speak, couldn't get words out. So he basically used, a bit like Stephen Hawking, he used like a pad.
Yeah.
And he was a comedian. So his act was programmed into the pad.
Gotcha.
And his timing was perfect. So he would deliver the lines, bang, bang, bang. It seems to me that perhaps Tom could still be involved in conventions, even talks on stage, if they could facilitate that with some sort of process where he can type what he wants to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just think that there's still a way of seeing him, and him being involved in Star Wars. Technology should be able to accommodate things like that, shouldn't it?
I think so. There's definitely, you're completely right. And also, if we're going to speak about technology, there's also that re-speech possibility. They could use,
Yes.
there's obviously going to be tons and tons and tons of source material of Tom speaking. So they could possibly find a way to integrate, his vocal performance into AI, and then at least, and maybe he might be able to contribute or carry on with some form of kind of voice work, even if it's not, naturally him doing it, but he might be able to have some kind of input in that as well.
Yeah.
That is actually one of the benefits for, AI technology these days, is that it could possibly do something like that and maybe give Tom at least, the chance to work on a few projects and, like I said, maybe get out and do some conventions and be able to engage and talk to people, which would be fantastic. And it'd probably be, do the world of good to him as well.
Hi, this is Guy Henry, and you're listening to Fantha Tracks. Enjoy.
So last week, myself and Matt Booker attended Autumn Fair at the NEC in Birmingham, National Exhibition Centre. It's a trade show for dealers, for shop owners, for retailers, to see what's coming out over the next few months. And it covers everything, all sorts of food, clothes, clothing, you name it. But there's also gifts and toys and stuff that's relevant to people who are into Star Wars. We had the chance to, after the show, sit down in the lovely sunshine outside the National Exhibition Centre, have a little chat about what we'd seen. So here's a few minutes of me and Matt shooting the breeze about what we'd just seen at Autumn Fair. So I'm here with Matt Booker. We're sat outside the NEC. It's a lovely sunny day.
Kids have gone back to school. Of course, it's a nice day.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And it was hot and sweaty as usual inside the NEC because they're too tight to put the aircon on.
Yeah.
But other than that, we've been to our first event for about 18 months?
Yep, Autumn Fair. So there's Autumn Fair and Spring Fair. They're trade shows for all the retailers come along and see what's happening and new merch coming out. It's a lot smaller than it normally is.
Yes.
But due to the modern times, I didn't expect it to be massive. The attendance was decent, not crazy. Comfortable, shall we say?
Yeah.
What new things did we see?
Well, not a massive amount, really. Certainly not for the sort of stuff that we're looking for. What jumped out at you, of the few things we saw, did anything at all jump out at you?
Mad Beauty, the one that jumped out at me, we saw them last year and they were doing Star Wars hand sanitizer and face masks for ladies.
Yeah.
And they've got an absolutely fantastic range. So the guys at Mad Beauty have carried on with their Star Wars license, carried on doing their Star Wars masks, face masks for getting yourself beautiful, and your Star Wars hand sanitizers. They've now picked up and done men's sheet face mask trio. So
say that again?
Men's sheet.
It's been a long time since I've been sheet-faced.
Yeah, and you get a Darth Vader face mask, a flat one that you put over your face to make sure you're beautiful again. Body wash bag sets and things like that, and men's lip balm, a little Darth Vader head, and Darth Vader soap, and bits like that. They even had a TIE Pilot mask.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool.
I think it was the first thing you showed me as we met up in the hall.
Yeah,
and we went straight to Mad Beauty. I thought they were, because like you say, we've had stuff about it on the site before.
Yeah, did really well. People really liked it.
Exactly, but that little, like you said, the Mando range, the Grogu stuff, really cute, really
so
nice.
They've got that for Star Wars, classic, Stormtrooper soaps and Vader soaps and stuff, and gift packs and stuff, and put in boots and all the rest of it. The Mando stuff, they've gone heavy on the Baby Yoda, obviously like everybody else has, of course sells quite well. Face mask, under eye mask, they've got a cloth mask that you can, sleep mask, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
They've got, the scrunchy scrubbies for your bath.
Yeah.
Like the
scrunchies.
Yeah, the net.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah, they got one of those with Baby Yoda's head, which I'm like, nobody puts baby in the corner. Kind of wrong.
Or the crevice.
Yeah, well, yes. The dark side. You don't put baby down the dark side. Hairbrush, other bits and bobs. Makeup set, which is quite nice.
Makeup set was really
simple.
You look at that and think that's the sort of thing that will shift at Christmas for the younger girls.
Yeah. Well, the guy there said we've had a lot of uptake in young girls buying Star Wars makeup and Star Wars beauty stuff. It's done them really well. They knew it'd do all right, so we're doing all the classic Disney princesses.
Yeah.
And they've got Night Before Christmas this year, which looks fantastic.
Okay. That's cool.
Best things they had on there, lip balm duos.
Yes.
You know, we saw those lip balms in America a few years back that were little characters, and you screwed the top off, and it was a little balm underneath. You can screw a little pot underneath. Yeah. They've got one that's the child pram, and you open it up like the pram, and it's a lip balm. And you got one that's Baby Yoda, and you unscrew the head from the body part, and that's got a lip balm in it as well.
Nice one.
That was cool. Best thing they had, colour changing bath bomb.
Oh, yeah, I didn't spot that.
Yep. There you go, there's a photo. They'll be on social media.
Yes, we'll put that on the site. Yeah.
It is a silver bath bomb, so it's the child's getting knob from the Razor Crest.
Very clever.
As a bath bomb, and it's a colour changing one. So as you put it in the bath, it changes colour. But the art they've got on it, it looks like they've done all their own artwork for it, and it's cool stuff actually.
Okay. It's nice. We were saying this going around that you see a lot of the same sort of stuff after a while. It's nice when somebody gets a license and is quite innovative like that.
Yeah, they've done fresh things with it. It's not just everybody's taking the tape.
Yeah.
Well, the amount of stuff we've seen over the years that is, we've got the style guide from Lucasfilm, we've taken these 3 pictures and slapped on everything. Yeah. Next 6 companies all done the same thing on a mug, on a t-shirt or on whatever. Yeah. None of their stuff was label slapped, it was quite innovative and fresh. Yeah. And the guy there was saying to me, he said, we do really well with it, but we like to innovate and be fresh with our product. And I said, it's nice to see somebody doing something fresh with it, rather than label slapping. I said, so you guys spend the extra time to create your own artwork based on the assets you were given.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't get given much, but when we get given assets, once we watched the show and got into it, we watched it 3 or 4 times through, and then draw up fun things we can do with the license. So it may not be everybody's cup of tea, but for gifting, it's a good little range of stuff.
Gifting, definitely, yeah.
It's a gift thing, you know. The guys at Hasbro, they were here, and I got a sneaky picture from the retailer video the other week, but I got a decent photos of it. Everybody's heard of Dobble.
Yep.
It's called something different in America. I can't remember what it's called. It's a matching game.
Sure.
Spot It in America it's called.
Okay, yeah.
Mandalorian Double stroke Spot It, and that's going to be wicked. That's going to be a real big seller. They've done every version of that possible. Guys at Winning Moves who do top trumps, they have Mandalorian top trumps coming out.
Yes, very nice.
And a new classic Star Wars match game. Looks a bit like Battleships, but isn't Battleships. But yeah, that's coming out.
Sort of like Guess Who sort of thing, or.
I think so. I've never played it.
Yeah.
My kids are kind of too old for that by the time that game came out. And then we had a look at Half Moon Bay, who didn't really sound to have much new, but lots of Mandalorian and R2-D2 mugs and sculpted mugs of Stormtroopers and Vaders and little ceramic gifts to hang on your Christmas tree type thing. Some lunch boxes and notebooks and stuff. Nothing overly fresh there this year. Just a bit more Baby Yoda stuff, which is
It feels like they're falling... anybody here at the moment is falling between the stools of... We passed Season 2 Mando, Season 3 ain't started filming, barely started filming. No one's giving anything away about Book of Boba Fett.
Nope.
You can't imagine there were many licensees picked up on Bad Batch.
Nope.
That'll be more of a Season 2 thing.
We know some other things are coming down the pike, but I think we're in that limbo period of,
Spring Fair should bring more, shouldn't it?
Yes, we should know more about future things coming out by then, and we'll be able to talk about more things.
Yeah.
They had some nice Baby Yoda bags that weren't too bad. Half Moon Bay. The guys from Professor Puzzle were here in the UK, and you know those little Metal Earth things?
Yes.
Yeah, they had a Mando and Grogu of those.
Oh, nice.
So the guys from Metal Earth were here. They've got a distributor in the UK called Professor Puzzle, I think, and they had some bits. Can't remember if I saw them at New York last year. It was 20 months ago, New York Toy Fair, 18 months ago. Yeah. So yeah, that was a lifetime ago. But there was a Mando and a Grogu in his cot that looked kind of cool from Metal Earth. If your eyesight will let you do them, mine will not. I'm way too old and blind for that.
Hello, I'm Warwick Davis, and you're listening to Fantha Tracks.
We went past a book wholesaler, and I don't stock books in my shop, in my comic shop.
Yeah.
I've got pictures with it. But you collect books, so you spotted on the top shelf an essential collection of Star Wars books. So 2 great books. Our mate Adam Bray's Absolutely Everything You Need to Know About Star Wars book, and the Star Wars DK Character Encyclopedia in a new slipcase. And on the front cover of the slipcase there are 5 buttons you can press to make noises of BB-8, R2, Chewbacca, Han Solo. What's the Han Solo noise make? Just yeah.
Whatever a finger point sounds like.
Yes, that's it. And Luke Skywalker. I'm assuming blasting gun noises and lightsaber noises.
Yeah.
And a Wookiee roar. But that looked quite different. And you get a big giant booster in it as well.
It was a really nicely presented set. It really
was, yeah.
caught the eye and then we realised, hang on, this is a collection of books that were already available.
There's a company there called Posh Paws, and they had the biggest Baby Yoda plush we've ever seen in our lives.
Ginormous.
Yeah.
It was about 3 foot tall, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Huge.
massive thing, and they've got other plushes of him holding the ball, another plush of him eating the foggy thing.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool. Winning Moves also had the Star Wars quiz, like their Top Trumps card game, but it's just quiz questions, which I hadn't seen before, and they've got their Waddington's Star Wars Mandalorian playing cards, which I wouldn't bother buying. Because
you said that I want them because they're nice and small and I can fit them in the collection, but you said
but they've changed the suits of cards, Ace, Spade and Diamond and stuff, to different Mandalorian helmets.
So it's hard to tell what's what.
So it's hard to tell if you're playing a game of spades, you're like, well, what is it? Oh, it's that helmet. It's hard to put the spade on it. They've changed,
It's put the helmet within the spade or the diamond.
Yeah, you may as well just watch it on an all
Yeah.
British and we've all got to sit and translate the bloody thing.
Yeah.
Then the guys at Coiled Spring had the brand new version of Star Wars Talisman, which you said you picked up recently. It looks kind of cool.
I did, yeah. I've not opened it yet. I do need to look in, because looking on the back, I was actually moving it around yesterday in the room, and looking on the back, there's so much stuff inside it.
You get a lot of gear in it, yeah.
Loads
of gear in there.
I do need to open that and have a look.
One of the clearance wholesalers is here, and they had a lot of old Hasbro products, so there's still Solo figures hanging around on clearance in the UK.
Oh, there was Force Awakens figures in there.
Yeah. One of the guys had Force Awakens figures on clearance. And I saw the Hyper Real Luke Skywalker on a clearance booth.
Yeah, that seemed strange to see that out there, didn't it?
Yes.
Very strange.
Because that's not even that old.
No.
And it's a very high point piece. Beautiful piece, but I just don't think it worked.
But other than that, it was good to catch up and get back into the
We
swing
got
of
it with spoons, I don't expect the best burger in the world, but...
True.
Readers of Fantha Tracks will have seen that we've had a competition running for the last 2 weeks on the site. It was to win a copy of Star Wars Mazes from Chronicle Books, and we've picked a winner. The winner is Brad Billups. So Brad will be contacted very shortly, and we'll grab his email address and we'll be sending him a copy of Star Wars Mazes. So if you're listening to this, Brad, congratulations to the winner of the latest Fantha Tracks competition, and you will have in your grubby mitts a copy of Star Wars Mazes very, very soon.
For everything in one location, daily news, reviews, interviews, podcasts, video and social media feeds, bookmark fanthatracks.com for Star Wars news 24/7, 365.
Knights of the Old Republic. It's an element of Star Wars, a place in the timeline that fans have been very attached to for a number of years. It's coming back. It's being remade. It's returning to consoles and PC. PlayStation 5 is the place that you'll see it first. Lots of excitement online about this. I played Knights of the Old Republic a little bit, but mostly with friends, not a big gamer myself. What does this mean to you? Are you very excited for this?
To start off with, this kind of announcement, at least to me, kind of came out of the blue. I wasn't, expecting this, and I don't think anybody was really expecting this unless they were really, really in the know. This could be really, really great for those who played it way back when, and hopefully bring on some new fans. I played it, but I can't remember playing it all that much, if I'm honest, and I don't know why. But the question I have is are they going to change anything about the game? Is the game DNA going to remain the same? Because that's an important thing. And does that game DNA still hold up now to new players who have never played it before, compared to, say, old players who are kind of used to that kind of game mechanics, and they're kind of basically playing it on a nostalgia factor. I'm excited for this. Don't have a PS5 yet because I still can't seem to get hold of one, which of course is a problem that lots of people are having, but I will definitely, by the time this comes out, hopefully have a PS5. So this will definitely be a download that I'm going to grab.
I'm really excited to see it. We've had figures from KOTOR over the years. Yeah. We've had, not that long ago, the Darth Revan Force Effects Elite lightsaber that Hasbro released. So, it's kind of still out there. The buzz for this was super hot, but you make a great point. It is a game of its time, and it was well ahead of the curve back then. And if they update it, like they have updated some of the other games, if they update it, fine. If they really did go back to basics and really sort of retell it with modern technology, that's another thing. There's going to be a lot of nostalgia, as you say, and I think also expectation, because if you've really played that game, gone down every corridor, you're going to kind of know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And I think if they change too many things up, then people will be like, oh, this isn't the KOTOR I remember. But again, within Star Wars, so many mini IPs within Star Wars. We've got right now High Republic and War of the Bounty Hunters, and you can go on for all day. This is another one. it could really spin off into other things. You'll get your T-shirts first, then there might be a comic, then there might be figures, then it could really become its own thing again. I did like StarWars.com did an interview with Ryan Treadwell from Aspire and Lucasfilm Games executive producer Orion Kellogg. That is the best Star Wars name that's not being used in Star Wars, by the way. Orion Kellogg, what a great name. They seem super excited about it, collaborating with Sony, working with Aspire. It feels like Lucasfilm Games are starting to gear up now by doing this, which feels like something fans really want. And clearly the people at Lucasfilm really want it.
You know, you've hit it on the head, but this could spin off and be its own kind of thing over time. Maybe this is a cheaper way of testing the waters for this kind of game. You know, if they did this, would they then potentially remake any of the others? Or could they see this as like, okay, we can now develop our own brand new Revan game and take it on from there? There's loads of different ways to do it. I mean, obviously Revan was in the Old Republic MMO as well. There was story elements with him in it, and in fact he even got his own book. But you can kind of think, but actually this surely, hopefully, would be a bit of a big marketing thing. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a comic, if not day and day of release of a game, but maybe something close to it. And yeah, I'd tell you one thing that I'd love actually would be a nice kind of statue. When the Old Republic was first launched, you get the Collector's Cube, which had like a Darth Malgus statue in it and book and the soundtrack and stuff. It'd be great to, you know, if they actually go all out and actually do something like that, because that was a real fantastic kind of collectible. And to be fair, that Darth Malgus statue is still one of my favourite pieces in my collection today.
Hi, this is John Morton from The Empire Strikes Back. I'm Dak Rotha, or Bespin Boba, and you're listening to Fantha Tracks.
Doncaster Unleashed took place back in the back end of July. I was fortunate enough to be there, one of the first events I've been to since New York Comic Con in 2019. It felt like it was a celebration. It wasn't a celebration, but it was awesome. There were some great guests there. Guy Henry was there. Harriet Walter was there. There was a whole bunch of other people there. It was a lovely day. And Guy and Harriet both did talks on the stage. Today, we're going to bring you the Guy Henry talk from Doncaster Unleashed. A couple of weeks' time, we'll bring you the Harriet Walter one, so pin that in your diary. So for now, sit back and listen to Guy Henry interviewed live on stage at Doncaster Unleashed.
Well, it's an honour to have you here. Thank you very much for the interview here. Guy Henry, everyone.
Thank you. Hello.
So, going right the way back to the start of your career, you took the title role in Young Sherlock in '82.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was a baptism of fire, because in those days you had to record. They built 2 sets at a time at the Granada Studios in Manchester. You rehearsed in London, and then you went up on the train to Manchester and did all the scenes from, say, the Manor House set or the other Vicarage set from all the 9 episodes throughout. So you really... It was called multi-episodic, and then you had 2 multi-episodic filming, and you had 2 cameras, I think it was, 2 or 3 cameras. Well, nowadays it's more like filming.
Yeah.
But you had to keep your wits about you. Hello. You had to keep your wits about you because you were trying to remember all the scenes from 9 episodes. I couldn't do it now. I'm too old and fuddy-duddy.
Was that your first acting role, or did you work earlier in theatre?
Was that like what?
Was Young Sherlock your first acting role, or was it
I'd done a tour. My first acting job was Shakespeare, and I went, it was shouting in the open air. It was Much Ado About Nothing, and we went around all the National Trust properties, all through the long hot summer of 1981 it was. In fact, we only got soaking wet. It was an open air production. We only got soaking wet on one occasion. That was in the City Isles, which is supposed to be nice, but anyway. It started to rain, so I was off stage. I came on stage, and all the audience had gone and stood under the trees about half a mile away. So that tested your vocal projection.
That's going to require a performance. You provided the physical form and the vocals on CGI to recreate Peter Cushing's Grand Moff Tarkin. On a scale of 1 to 10, how daunting is that?
11. Terrifying. I mean, Peter Cushing was a wonderful actor. I said this before, but I admired him before I was ever offered that role, and I didn't want to let him down, never mind the Star Wars bosses and Lucasfilm and all those important people. It was in my mind, it was a tribute to the great Peter Cushing, who I thought was, and apparently, by all accounts, a lovely man as well.
I'm on a lot of boards, and there was a lot of talk about how it was going to be or how it would be received. It was received really well.
Well, I hope so. I mean, I'm not an impressionist, so I just tried to get, an air of the man, and I did keep practicing his voice with the rolled R, and you may fire when we're ready. But he had a sort of lighter voice in a way than me, more of a nasal voice, and so I tried to practice and get it as accurate as I could. And then when the film came out, I kept getting text messages from friends saying, as soon as you opened his mouth, I knew it was you. And I thought, sod off, I was trying to sound like him.
So, sound like my friend's really supportive.
Oh, they're lovely friends, yeah. Ex-friends, really.
Talking of friends, I have a best friend at home, and she is currently so jealous of me right now because she is a Holby City fan, and you are literally the dream person that she want to talk to. She loves you so much.
Well, I hope she gets over it, but she seems like a nice girl. I mean, Henrik Hansen, which I played for 11 years on and off, it's wonderful, no matter how much people like him. You know, he's a great character. Strange, troubled, but a decent person, I suppose. That's what the secret is.
I was going to say, because with you playing Henrik, he's always cast off, comes across as, the big bad or the serious guy, but every now and then you get to see a softer side of him. Is it nice for you to do that softer side of him?
Yeah, I think, yes. He's been through quite a lot lately. I mean, those of you who know the show, they've made it a little bit silly sometimes lately and a bit soapy. And it's a great shame that just when it's getting back on track and the new producer is making it more about, real events, real people and their stories, the BBC are cancelling the show. It's a shame.
I was reading that, I was like, surely they've made a mistake.
Well, apparently the official reason is that the BBC want to involve the whole country in their work and not to be so based in London and the South East. I think that's admirable, but I do think the BBC is already all over the country. And I don't think that people who watch Holby mind particularly, that it's made in Elstree.
I was going to say, when we're watching Holby or Casualty or anything like that, we're not sat thinking, this is a hospital in London, we're like, this is a hospital with nurses and doctors.
Well, it's supposed to be, I think it's supposed to be sort of the Bristol area. Yeah. Certainly Casualty, well, it's the same hospital.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And it was originally, Casualty was originally filmed in Bristol, as you know, and now it's moved to Cardiff, and we'll be at Elstree for another 4 months, and then we'll stop. 5 months.
Talking of Henrik, he's had quite recently, a couple of months back, had quite a strong storyline with the abuse storyline. How hard was that the abuse storyline? How hard was that to...
Yes, there was an abuse storyline, which I thought, because Mr. Hansen was abused when he was a young, not a child, but a young guy, which I thought was slightly fanciful, because of course I stood around and nobody came near me, but anyway, it was, but it was an important story, I think, and I think it was played very well by Rowie as the abuser, and I think it was very well written and quite sensitively handled. So yeah, that's one of the things I'm proud of. The first thing I remember from all those years when I first joined was a story about an Eastern European lady who brought her young boy over for help with his heart. And it was a very interesting story about how the NHS works and what we owe it and all that sort of thing. Excellent.
when I was doing it, it was, I don't know, I don't like effective and so on, but just to say that the effect it could have someone that was so successful and, you know, so in charge of himself, and just the effect that it had on him. I mean, it was an episode when he was found just like in the basement, and that just broke my heart.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was had an excellent director actually on that particular episode, and he said to us, don't do too much acting, just talk. And I think I did do a bit of shouting and screaming and crying in that episode, but also the scene with the psychiatrist, therapist lady, that's when he said, just talk to her. And I did, and I hope that, you know, you always hope if you're doing something that it will affect audiences well, and I hope that some people may have got something from that and other storylines that Holby has covered over the years.
Hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith, Star Wars fan, Fantha Tracks fan.
When I was doing the research on you, obviously I did Google, yes, I did Google you.
I've got a cream to that.
The most asked question about Guy Henry is he Swedish?
Is Guy Henry Swedish?
Yeah.
I think the reason that they made me Swedish was because I'd done so much theatre work that I was very particular in the way I spoke. You know, it was a bit pedantic, and my great hero was Peter O'Toole, who a lot of you won't remember, but he was a wonderful actor who played Lawrence of Arabia and all that. So I was rather particular and a bit mannered, and so I think they thought, well, he's quite interesting, but we better make him foreign, so because he speaks a bit sort of pedantically. They swear that that's not the reason, but when I auditioned for the role of Henrik Hansen, he was called Arnold Brown.
Well, that changed.
I think I prefer Henrik Hansen to Arnold Brown.
That is much more, yeah.
Yeah.
Which would be treated by Arthur Brown or Henrik Hansen? I think Henrik was
I think Mr. Hansen for you.
I apologise if I pronounced this name wrong. You played Pius Thickness. I think it's Pius Thicknesser. You say the E on the end. Pius Thicknesser. Yeah, I have a friend that watches Harry Potter, and she advised me, and she was useless. Yeah, you were in Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2. What was it like going into something that it was a phenomenon that had just become so big?
I hadn't really got into the Harry Potter franchise, and I didn't really know it. And when the agent phoned and said, you've been offered a part in Harry Potter, and I went, oh really? Oh, that's nice. You know, what's it like? He said, it doesn't matter what it's like, you've been offered a part in Harry Potter. So
you have no choice, you have to take it.
I then watched all the films and fell in love with it. I think it's a great old-fashioned storytelling, good and evil, and it's just, and the people were so lovely. The reason I was offered it straight out rather than doing a screen test or anything was not because of my immense status within the industry, it was because I'd done a day's work with the director David Yates, and he's on another thing called The Young Visitors with Jim Broadbent, and I played a rather severe etiquette teacher. Sit down, stand up, knife, fork, spoon, and all this sort of, and we improvised quite well. Oh, I know, I made it, and so and he said at the end of that day's filming, he said, well done, I'll find something else for you, and that something else a few years later is Harry Potter. So thank you, David Yates, you're a man of your word.
What's it like going from the seriousness of roles like Henry and Pius and even Cassius to the lighter side of things with roles like Ian Morris in extras and your role in the IT crowd?
Well, I tend to give the same performance, makes it easier. No, I don't actually, but I'm nervous about Holby finishing because I'm not sure how I'll be able to. Seriously, I mean, it's so unusual to have a regular wage for an actor. You know, I'm fortunate that I work quite often, and I hope I'll continue to do so. But having a regular wage is very rare. So I'm really worried about losing that, and I hope I'll be, able to afford the Brussels sprouts next Christmas, because it's quite scary after security. You know, is rare for a lot of people, I know, but particularly for actors, it's not often you feel, I'm okay, I've got a regular wage. But on the other hand, you don't become an actor to be a commuter in a way. You relish the changes and the worry and the, I don't know about relishing the worry at my age, but I've had a good run and I can't complain. I've a really great, lovely character, lovely people to work with, and some sense of security in my advancing old age.
So, what are the comedy roles like? Is it nice to play just something that's a little bit more light-hearted?
Well, I mean, it's funny because on screen I tend to play rather severe, saturnine characters, baddies if you like. Not sure why. And on stage I often play weird and eccentric, floppy type, I don't know, it's a totally different style of acting. I've done lots of comedy parts on stage, and Shakespeare and various other authors. So I'd like to get shouting in a wig in the evening. That's what we call it in the theatre. I'd like to get back and do some more of that. Definitely.
What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Don't have another white wine. This one. Get off my foot. It's the best piece of advice. Actually, it was from the late Ian Charlson. We were doing a production in which he played Hamlet beautifully, even though he was dying at the time of AIDS. It was a few years back now. And he was in Chariots of Fire. He played the Scottish runner in Chariots of Fire, amongst many other things. He was a wonderful, wonderful actor. And although he was very ill and weak at the time, he was mesmerising as Hamlet, and I remember all the audience was still and quiet when he used to sit down for the soliloquies because he was very unwell. And I said to him when I came off, I said, how do you do that? The audience was just completely rapt. Their attention was there. And then on the rare occasions Hamlet went off stage, they just talk about something else. I said, how do you do that, Ian? How do you act so that people care about you and about what you're saying? And he said, I think I just concentrate on what I'm saying. And that sounds easy, but you're not just gabbling it off, you're thinking about what you're saying and you're trying to communicate it. I think that's what good acting probably is.
So for any aspiring actors out there, or people that are just starting their career, what advice would you have for them?
Well,
you're on the spot.
What, for a young aspiring? Well, my son's about to become an actor. He's at drama school at the moment. And I think I'd say the same thing. Concentrate on what you say, mean what you say, and I would say on stage and off. Mean what you say. Best thing of all, I think.
As an aspirant this, do you have an ideal role? Do you have like a role out there like that is the role ideally I want to play?
Well, if I'd been slightly more athletic type, I would have loved to have played Cyrano de Bergerac. Do you know that? The swashbuckling, wonderful old French play about the man with the long nose who thinks he's hideous and gets Christian, the pretty one, and he woos the girl on his behalf with his brilliant wit. And I saw Derek Jacobi do that brilliantly at the Barbican years ago. I would have loved to have played that. I always wanted to play King Richard II as well. No, I never got to play that. I could have probably played that. Maybe if Ian McKellen can play Hamlet at 80, whatever he is, maybe I'll be a 62-year-old Richard II next. next couple of years. Although I think Richard II is maybe only enjoyable for the man playing Richard II because he doesn't have to go on.
The man like to talk.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I'd better shut up, had I?
Well, just before we go, I'm going to do, the important questions, the quick fire questions, the nitty gritty questions. You ready? Staying in or going out?
Increasingly staying in. Yeah.
A gallery or a theatre?
Theatre.
TV or film?
I have to say TV, don't I? Not the whole beat.
Sweet or savoury?
Savoury.
Holby City or Casualty?
Oh, for God's sake. Holby City.
Thank you very much. Guy Henry, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Guy Henry, big applause, please, on each thing. Thank you very much.
Awesome, so thanks for that, Mark, and I suppose thanks for that, Mr. Henry, as well. But that is all we have got time for. Big thank you if you made it this far and continue to listen. That is most appreciated. No listeners' question this week, but I believe we have a listeners' question for next week. After that, who knows? So if you'd like to send us a listeners' question, a theory, a comment or complaint, then by all means do. Please send any complaints way of Mr. Newbold. Mark, can you let the good listeners know how they can get in touch?
If you want to be a part of the action and stay updated on all the latest Star Wars news, visit fanthatracks.com or check out the free Fantha Tracks app through the App Store to follow us on your mobile device. That was so sad. You can reach out to us and send in your listeners' questions by emailing radio@fanthatracks.com or sending complaints to Mark Mulcaster at fanthatracks.com. You can comment, like and share on any of our social media feeds at Fanthatracks, and be sure to subscribe, leave a review, preferably a 5-star one, on Amazon Music, Audible, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or your podcatcher or smart speaker of choice. And as always, thanks to James Semple for composing the Fanthatracks intro, Adam O'Brien for our Making Tracks opening music, and Mark Daniel and Vanessa Marshall for our voiceovers. Remember, tune into our weekly Fanthatracks news show, Good Morning Tatooine. It's live Sunday evenings at 9 o'clock UK time, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, on Facebook and YouTube. Last episode I was on. Next episode, hopefully, Mark, it'll be you.
Well, if I'm back from Coventry in time, yeah.
Exactly, we're both in Coventry. Yes. There's a whole bunch of us in Booker's there, Claire and Paul and Carla there. There's loads of Panthers there, so look out for the shirt. Fantha Fest, yeah. Why aren't we doing a Fantha Fest?
We should do it.
Look out for the shirts. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a good day. That's me done for this episode. Thank you, Mark, as always.
Anytime, buddy. And I suppose that's me done as well. So thank you all for listening once again. Everybody else, stay safe, take care, get vaccinated if you still haven't, and if you haven't, why haven't you? And of course, as always, may the Force be with you.
Coming up next on Fantha Tracks Radio, it's another episode of Making Tracks.